All right, so hi everyone, welcome and thanks so much for joining us today, either live or if you're watching the playback. It's wonderful to see you all here. I'm joining today from the traditional and unceded lands of the Irukandji people, which is in far north Queensland, known also as Trinity Beach or Cairns. It's a really, really beautiful area here, and I feel super privileged to be able to wiggle my toes on this land, breathe in the beautiful sky country here as well. So if you haven't already done so, I'd love you to introduce yourself in the chat. And if you do know the traditional name of the lands on which you're joining from today, I'd love to see and hear that as well. I really enjoy learning more about where people are coming from and also learning the names of the traditional country as well. So I've got some exciting things to share today. I'm going to try to live demo, always a bit of a risk live demo in general, but especially live demo on a staging server. So fingers crossed that it goes well. I wanted to do a bit of a reflection on where we've come from and where we're going for the next few months as well. First up, I wanted to introduce to you the team that's making this all possible in GeoNadir. We are a really, really small group. So there's me and Paul. Paul's actually in the wall behind me here. Paul's my husband, and we are the co-founders of GeoNadir. And we've been imagining this for quite a few years now. You also see Nishan up there. He manages the dev team. Joan is our data scientist. And hey, Joan, I see you've just popped on as well. She's just about to head out in the field. So thanks for joining us en route to early there. Zwei is our product designer. So she's the one that makes everything look absolutely beautiful. Savas is a front-end developer. He puts everything into action. And we're always nagging with Savas. So I'm really, really thankful for the work that he does. Smarika is our quality assurance engineer. Jack is our community manager. He's on the call today as well and says hi. And Manoj is our back-end developer. So small team, but I'm really, really grateful for the people that we work with because they're being able to bring together the vision that Paul and I have for GeoNadir and that you're coming along with us as well. So big thanks and shout out to our team. So in review, first of all, I've got a question for you. And for those that have been to talks that I've done before, you probably know that I really like to get a little bit interactive in these talks as well. So I'd love to get some feedback from you as well. And so the first question I'd like to ask of you, if you're already familiar with GeoNadir, what are some of the characteristics that you find most valuable? And Paul's just popped up a poll there. And so the first question is select as many of those as you like that you think are valuable. And the second question is the same question, but just picking the most valuable one for you as well. So jump on in. Even if you're not familiar with GeoNadir, hopefully this is still a question that you're able to answer as well. So for those that have just joined, thanks for joining us today. Feel free to drop in the chat. Let us know your name and where you're joining from today. And we've just also got a question up there as well. So just querying what you find most valuable about GeoNadir. And if you're not familiar with GeoNadir, that's fine as well. So have a look at the question and see what things that you might find most valuable. The first question, tick as many as you like. The second is picking your number one. So it's cool to see some of those responses coming through now. So it's good to see that people are finding it valuable to be able to store, share, and process the data. And since that's what we're all about, I guess that's pretty important as well. And accessing the drone data from around the world. Now, some of those other features in terms of streaming, automatics, downloading them, keeping data sets private, there's some of the new features that we have released just recently, and I'll be talking about, so maybe not quite so familiar with as well. I'll give just a moment to finish off that poll for anyone that hasn't had the opportunity to jump into that one just yet before we close that poll off.
Yep. Yep, we're good to move on, Karen. Most people have completed it.
All right, cool. Thank you so much, and thanks for your feedback there as well. That's really, really helpful for us, and it's good to let us know if we're on the right track, or if we're not as well, because that's important. So in that reflection, I also was really thought it was important to actually show you where we started at the beginning of last year. So this isn't the very beginning of the platform. So this was after, I guess, we'd been in operation for about 9 months or so. This is what the platform looked like in January last year. I do a screenshot at the beginning of every month so that we can feel good about where we're going, particularly on days when it gets really tough. And so this is what it looked like. You can see all the dots on the map. We did have a reasonable amount of data there already, but I wanted to just share with you what it looks like today, and you'll see quite a few aesthetic shifts, but there's also quite a bit of functional shifts there as well. So the first thing that we did was to I guess probably one of the biggest things that we did last year was to split out having all the data in the one view to having two separate views. So what we call fair geo, the findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable geo. So that's everybody's global data that you can see. And that's the way it looks now. So lots more points on the map, but you'll see that the framework has changed as well. And then in addition to having a fair geo global map, we also have the my geo, which is your own stuff, which I found really, really helpful for being able to just to sort of really manage my own stuff. And so I've got a bunch of stuff here in Belize, and then most of the rest of my stuff is off the east coast of Australia that you can't quite see there. That was a really big outcome for us last year to do that. And so overall, here's where we went last year. I mean, probably some of the big stuff for us was really just employing some staff. So prior to that, it was Paul and I and a couple of members that were helping us sort of on a more contract basis. We went from 115,000 images in January all the way up to nearly 400,000 at the end of last year. And we're at about 427,000 now. At the beginning of last year, we were really fortunate to get some funding through the Australian federal government, the Boosting Female Founders Initiative. And so that's for businesses that were at least 51% female owned. So that was something that we were really, really fortunate to get. And that's really funded the majority of our development over the past 12 months. We had team members join us, Savas and Manoj being the front and back end developers, Anne writing all of the amazing blogs that you may have read over the past year or so. Prawan, who was our former QA, who has recently left, unfortunately, but been replaced with Marika. In March last year, so 12 months ago, we released the ability to draw different features on the maps, and I'm going to come back to that because we've got a new version of that just about to drop at the end of this month as well. And we also created what we believe is just a really beautiful animation video that tells our brand story. And Paul's just going to pop the link to that in the chat as well. So if you haven't already seen our animation video, I really encourage you to have a look at that. And it's got a really beautiful backstory as well, in that the organization Green Fox, it's a Brisbane-based organization that we worked with to create this animation. They work with incarcerated people to be able to give them jobs when they get out of prison. And so this animated video was actually the first video created by our awesome team member, and it was something that he was so really, really proud of to be involved in, and it is really spectacular, and just a really great story from another certified social enterprise there as well. So if you do get the chance, please have a look at that and let us know what you think. Jack, our community manager, who's on the call today, joined us in mid last year. So that's when we really started to build a lot of community chat as well. We have a Dell partnership that we launched last year as well. So really lucky to get some Dell equipment last year, including this touchscreen behind me, which is really amazing for the mapping stuff that we do. And Paul's also just popped a link in the chat for details about Dell and the work that we've done with them as well. We had a TV ad running late last year here around Australia as well. Towards the end of last year, we did that full update where we split to the MyGeo and FairGeo that I spoke about. and we completely rethought the way that we were going to upload data sets. And if you had uploaded data sets anytime before December last year, you would have known you could just sort of upload one data set at a time. And now we have the ability to upload many, many folders at once, or just one folder that's got several folders underneath. So if you have all your drone data in one folder, all you need to do is one drag and drop, and it will separate everything out for you as well. So if you haven't given that a go, I really encourage you to jump on and upload some new data sets and see how easy it is now. And that's really been improved since December last year as well. So that's what we achieved last year, and so I wanted to now jump in and have a look at where we're going for this year. So I have another question for you. So what features or enhancements do you think would be most beneficial for you to have access to on the platform? So Paul's going to launch another poll here, and of course, if you don't have access to the poll, you want to pop something in the chat, or certainly if there's something that's not here on my brainstormed list that would be transformational for you, please pop it in the chat. Really, really love to hear that. We do have a product development plan for the year, but I'm also completely willing to shift and change things around based on what you as the community would like to see. So please jump in and have a think. So the first one, again, you can answer as many as you like, all the things that you'd like to see. And then the second question looks exactly the same, but it's picking just one. What would be your absolute deal breaker if we were able to do that? Or sorry, not deal breaker, the other way, game changer. If we were actually able to deliver that for you. All right, so we'll give a couple of moments to look at that poll, and again, if you've got any other ideas, please pop in the chat. So it looks like DEMs are pretty popular. People would like to see some veg health indices. It's actually looking pretty even across the board here. So we've got some machine learning, more data formats, time series, point clouds, or dashboard. GCPs as well. And top of the list at the moment of the most wanted thing, looks like it's a tie for time series viz, and adding in some GCPs as well. So cool. Again, at any stage throughout the talk, or even just contact me later if there's something else you go, you know what, if you did this, it would be wicked. Please let me know. All right, cool. Thank you so much for your feedback there. All right, so now thinking about the things that you said that you might like to have, let me show you some of the things that are about to drop and then are a little bit further down the pipeline for us as well. So here's what we're looking at so far. So what I'd like to just quickly run through are some of the things that we have already launched this year in the past 3 months. You may not be aware of if you haven't jumped online just recently as well. So first of all, you are able to have your own private data sets now. So obviously we're built on FAIR principles and we want to share as much as possible, but we also recognize that for many reasons, sometimes you need to keep that data private, whether it's for cultural heritage reasons, perhaps you really, really want to publish something before it goes public, or maybe there's other reasons as well. So if you would like to have private data sets, please get in touch with us and we can show you our subscription models also that I'll talk about in a little bit as well. So it's really easy for you to do that. You are now able to download author mosaics. We do have a tile mapping server that you can pump your data directly into ArcGIS, QGIS, or whatever you like. We have refreshed our table of contents, which you might have seen, just aesthetic changes, and we have launched our paid subscription models. We did that last week. So on the go, the next thing to drop is our projects. That's what I'm going to have an attempt at live demoing that for you in a moment as well. Our next cab off the rank is looking at digital elevation models. We want some more statistics in there. I'll talk about that in a moment. Multi-spec data sets, multi-temporal viz, search enhancements, and organizational dashboard as well. So that's where we're thinking. But again, some things will change if you're really keen on certain things and you let us know that that's what you want as well. All right, so quick look, if you want private data sets, and if you're on one of the subscription models, you can now do that. So from in any data set that is obviously one that you've uploaded, you can go into the edit data set details and switch this to private. So if you don't have access, that will automatically default to, well, it automatically defaults to fair anyway, but if you don't have access to private, you won't be able to make that switch. You'll see also that you can do it from the table of contents as well. So you can click on the table of contents card and make private there. And then once you have made something private, you'll see that it's come up with a lock, and it won't be available at all, not even for you to see on the FairGeo global map. So it will only appear in your own listings. We have videos explaining how to do that as well. So let us know if that's something that you need. And the next thing is ArcGIS downloads and the tile server. So inside a data set, you'll see there's a button up here in the top right hand side to be able to download, and then we'll give you the option to download the raw images, which anybody can do as long as you have an account of any level. So you'll always be able to download raw images. You don't need any paid account whatsoever, but under that you will also be able to download the ArcGIS and soon the digital elevation models as well. The tile server, you can also download from the table of contents. So you'll be able to see that pop up there as well. Our tile server link is over here that you'll see when you go into data set details. And again, Paul's just popped the links for the videos on how to pop that directly into QGIS, ArcGIS, or ArcGIS Online. So whatever it is that you're working with, there's a way to directly stream these data sets, which is super helpful if you want to incorporate it with other satellite data, vector data, whatever it is that you're playing with. You can pump it directly into those other platforms, and it's really quick to be able to do that as well. And of course, it saves you having to download directly onto your own desktops. All right, so here's what things are looking like for design. So this is not in place just yet. So our digital surface models and digital terrain models will be accessible via toggling between, at the moment you just see the orthomosaic on the platform, but you'll be able to toggle between the surface model and the digital terrain model in a similar way to the way we currently switch between satellite view and map view. You'll notice that the DSM and DTM are coloured in sort of this bluey purpley colour. So we did run a poll for the community to fill in quite recently, asking what particular preferences they have for different colour ramps. So really moving away from the traditional rainbow colour ramp, which has all sorts of challenges scientifically, but is really not good if you have any kind of colour visual impairment at all. So looking at using the one that was voted the most popular from our reach out there as well. So looking forward to bringing the DSMs and DTMs on board, and so that's looking at Q2 of this year, so definitely by the middle of this year. We're also going to incorporate some statistics, so you have a bit of an indication about how many times the data sets that you have uploaded have been viewed, downloaded, liked, that sort of thing as well. And these are some of our early designs to be able to work with that, and keen for feedback in that space. I know that that's really important for academics, for example, to be able to report on how many times the data sets have been used, but I also know that it's good if you're contributing data to a fair platform, you want to know that it's useful for other people as well. So hopefully that's a good feature that you enjoy. All right, so just about to drop. This is the main one that I wanted to really share with you today, because we're really excited about this main feature update that I wanted to walk you through, and we'll do my best at live demoing and see how we're going on Wi-Fi and staging server stuff. So first of all, I have a question for you. How many clicks do you think that it takes for you to be able to start digitizing within ArcGIS Pro or QGIS, if that's the one that you use more? So if you're familiar with any form of digitizing, so being able to draw lines, points, or polygons on a map, let me know how many clicks that you think that it takes for you to be able to start doing that in a project that you've already opened. Any thoughts? Mark says 10 in Arc. About 4 in Pro if they're already there. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, good clarification, but you've got to get them there in the first place as well, right? Jalen, about 20, but maybe you don't know exactly what you're doing. Sorry, that's your words, not mine. 12 if you don't misclick. All right, any ideas? I think these are for ARC. Any ideas for Q? If we have any QGIS users, what do you think? No thoughts? All right, so I was playing with it yesterday because this is one of the things that I find really, really frustrating in GIS is how it overcomplicates bits and pieces. So you're getting up close there. So in ArcGIS, assuming that you've already got the project open, which is a whole nother bunch of clicks to do that, it takes 9 clicks to be able to start digitizing something. And in QGIS, it's 4, so not quite as bad in Q, but still lots of clicks. So what I wanted to share with you is the way that we reimagined the way we are looking at annotating maps and how we want to build from here as well. So let's pop over. All right, so 11 with a snap feature as well. Thanks, Mark. Paul, can you just give me a thumbs up that you can say the sweet? All right. So what we've done is to go back and think about how platforms work that are actually designed for designers. So try and take a step back and go, okay, let's not be geospatial for the moment. Let's think about how easy things are if you want to work in a design package. And so this is how easy it is once you've found something that you're interested in. So from any map view at all on the platform, so at the moment I'm in a dataset view and I can see an orthomosaic that I might be interested in looking at, but I could be anywhere. I could be in the global map or I could be in my datasets. Doesn't matter. Anywhere that you see a map on the platform, you can click this button over here on the right-hand side to draw layers. So 1 click, and then your second click will be the shape, point, line, or polygon that you want to draw. Okay, so for example, I want to draw points, so I'm just dropping them on there, right? So 2 clicks, 1 to bring up the toolbar and 1 to actually select the tool that you want. As you continue to click, you'll see that they appear under the same layer. So it's still giving that same feel that we've got a layer with different features. If you wanted a different layer, I would just click that tool once more, and I'm dropping in those new features there as well. For points, you'll see that we get the lat long. If we draw a line feature, it's a little bit difficult to see in that color, so that's a good thing to change as well. So you'll see that we get the line and we get the distance. Let's change the color so we can see that. So all I need to do is click on the patch, and I'm going to maybe just change the width as well as the line color, make some ugly hairy caterpillars there. All right, now with our polygon, we have the option of a standard polygon, a rectangle, or an ellipse. I'm just going to go with a standard polygon for the moment. And again, I can change any of the aspects in terms of outline or fill or anything like that as well. With the polygons, you'll see that we have meters squared available for that. So we've got the area, and then the lines have distance, and the points have their lat long. Now, what you do see at the top of any of these features is the sum of what you get. So for example, a line, we've got individual lines. This one's 80 meters, this one's 58 meters, and the sum is at the top as well as the number of lines that we've got. You can change those units as well. Sorry, people in the US are not working in miles or anything, feet and miles. We're working in kilometers and kilometers squared. So all you need to do is click on any one of those and you're going to change the unit there. You can turn features on and off as you like, put them to sleep if you like, turn the entire layer off as well. And then if I just want to go back in and recommence digitizing in that particular layer, all I'm going to do is click on that layer so you can see it's active. And then I'm just going to go ahead and continue. So it doesn't start a new feature at all, although I've put them to sleep. So let me wake those up. And then we have those available. So super, super easy to get you started. And then if you do want to change the name of your features, all you need to do is double click on it. And let's say we're just going to call this field, and then it's changed. So really, really easy to get going. You don't have to make those decisions first. So you don't have to say, what am I going to create? What's its name going to be? What type of feature is it going to be like? You'll see it's called Polygon 1 here. Next time I go into digitize in my polygon, in my beautiful shapes that I'm drawing, you'll see they're now called field 2, 3, because that's the way I've changed the name of that as well. If you don't want to see those labels, that's perfectly fine as well. So just hide those labels, or you can hide individual labels as well. So totally up to you. You've got that flexibility there as well. Now, what you might have also seen is as I pull this menu option down here, we have the option to export layers. So I can't demo that just yet. We haven't deployed that to our staging server, but within the next 10 days, we will be able to export your layers as a single layer or as multiple layers to JSON, KML, shapefile, and CSVs. And you will also be able to upload your vectors in those same formats onto the platform in the same way as well. So hopefully that's a cool feature that you might be able to use if you want to take them externally, or even if you want to do any of your base analysis here, create labels, for example, to pop into some deep learning algorithm. Super easy to do it here on the platform, push it into a GeoJSON, and then take it out there as well. Now, one of the other things that we've implemented is the ability to save all of this. So what I'm going to do now is say I've finished drawing, really happy with this. I'm going to now click on save to save this to what we call a project. So we haven't had projects before. This is a completely new feature. I can save these layers that I've created into an existing project if I like, or I can create a new project. At this stage, I'm just going to go and create a new project. I'm going to give this a name and hit create, and I'll show you where it takes us. So over on the left-hand side menu, you'll see we have your data sets, you have the global map, and this My Projects is the new thing. Now, what's also happened is that one of the features that we haven't quite brought across just yet is that we've lost that ortho mosaic in the background. So we've got our beautiful shapes, but we've lost the ortho. But it's actually kind of cool for this purpose because it allows me to show you another way to pull it in, which is quite helpful. So as you pop into our My Projects, which is called our test, and here's our layers, you'll see down this bottom left-hand side, it actually tells us, hey, you know what? There's already some drone data sets in the area that you're mapping. Did you want to bring those into your project? So it tells me there's two. I'm going to click on that. It tells me which ones they are. And this is the one here. So at any stage when you've got a table of contents from MyGeo or from your data sets or the global map, you can pop into that and go add to projects. Tell it which project you want to add to. And then when we come back over to our project, we're back in here, and you'll now see that I have my ortho mosaic in there as well. And you can toggle that on and off as you like. So from here, the other thing that you can do is anytime you want to change the name of your project, you can do that easily enough. You don't need to go out or save anywhere in particular. You can make sure your spelling is good, pop that up there. And you can also edit the details of the project. So I'm just going to go into this to show you there's lots of things that you can do. So if we want to jump into edit details, here is another way we can change the project name. We can give it a description that'll make it easy for us to find. We're going to add some tags in there as well and upload a new cover picture for that as well. And I was really amused this morning when I realized that dev team had allowed us to upload animated GIFs in here. Something that's kind of just a little bit of fun that actually makes me smile now when I look at my overall projects that I have. So I've saved those details. If I now go out into my projects, you'll see I have 2 different projects in here. You'll see that I have the footprints of those available. I can toggle those on or off as I like. And it's just a really easy way to start to manage working with your data together. So hopefully that gives some insights into the feature that we're hoping to push live in 10 days, so Monday week, and very, very close to being able to do that. And I welcome any questions at all that you have in that space. If you want to just let me know in the chat, or talk to us, email, as you like. Provide feedback also at the end of the talk, whatever works best for you. All right, so the other thing that is also about to go live is allowing you to be able to keep track of your subscriptions. So as I mentioned, we pushed the subscription feature live last week, I think it was, Jack. We've had some people in beta testing for that for a little while, but we have pushed the paid subscription live. So you can see the different plans that are available. That will become available under your profile details. So if you go into your profile up here, at the moment you see profile details and update password, and then you'll have this subscription feature here as well. So one thing I really want to bring to the forefront at this point in time is that everything that is currently free and that you have enjoyed all up until this point is still and will always be free. So you can always upload your raw drone images. We will always automate them for you, and you can access them on the platform. You can download them. Someone else can download them because you've donated them, I guess, if you like, to findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable platform. So all those things stay exactly the same. The only thing is that we've changed the name of that. So as you are at the moment, you're in an essential offering, and that's not going to change. We're really committed to that. We've been really, really fortunate to have funding over the past 18 months to enable us to develop that as well. So it's important for us to continue with that. But the other thing that I find is something that's really frustrating for me as an academic is seeing really good academic ideas that then fall over a year or two later because they were reliant on government funding to maintain whatever it was that they're doing. And we're so committed to what we're doing here with GeoNadir that we don't want to be one of those projects that just stops development when our government funding runs out. Nothing happens and everyone says, in a year or two's time, I'll remember GeoNadir, yeah, old technology now, but it was kind of cool back then. We don't want to be that. And the only way for us to not be that is to make sure that we have a sustainable business model. And so this is why we've brought in additional features that you can purchase a subscription into. And so what we really hope is that even if you're on a free account at the moment in the essential account area, that you really see value in the things that we offer on top of what we're currently doing, and consider purchasing one of our subscription plans, because that way that keeps us alive, it keeps our development going, and the more people we get into that, obviously the more development we get to do. And all of that is part of our commitment to being fair, or findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. So this is a key thing that we believe is super important to make sure that we have sustainable futures for the environment and for ourselves as well. So we've done a really good job, I think, of making drone data findable to date and accessible in terms of the raw images that people have put up and we're sharing out. Through having our data downloadable and being able to export layers into JSON, KML shapefile, and also using the tile servers that you can stream directly into GIS platforms. We're working really hard to increase that interoperability, and also working with other partners where we can push our data into those platforms as well. And this also means that we're making sure that we're not dealing with single-use data. So when you put your data on the platform, we know that we're making it available for others to use and reuse. And I know that we keep this in our mind a lot with a lot of products and materials that we use in our daily lives, like what do we do with our bottles and cans, that sort of thing. And so it's really time that we want to make sure that we're adding value to our data as well, so that people are able to reuse that in that way. So I think most people are pretty familiar with what I call the fair data trilogy, or maybe you've even thought it as the open data I guess group, probably not trilogy yourself, but it's all about how we know about the consumption side of things. So we go to a website, download data, consume. But to enable that to happen, there's other parts. So first of all, someone has to capture the data, and we know that people are doing a huge amount of capturing in the GeoNadir community, and someone has to curate it. And that's GeoNadir's job, to curate it. But I actually think that past those 3 steps, which are traditionally thought of as linear, so you're capturing, curating, using, and that's the end of it, what we're trying to do is build what we call a circular data economy. So this is where we do have capturing and we're curating as well, but we're building an entire economy around this that enables us to all contribute, to create stuff together, to collaborate with each other, and as we do that, understand where gaps are so we capture more, and making sure that we're not capturing unnecessarily as well, right? We don't need waste of time or resource either. So how do we be as efficient as possible as we do this together, and how do we make it keep ticking? And so this is really the crux of what we're building towards. It's what we call the circular data economy, and I'll get Paul also to drop a link to our blog about this as well in the chat. So if you want to read more about our theories behind that, please jump in, have a read, and talk to us about it as well. See how you can fit in and how we can continue to work together in this way. But to me, it's super important that when we do think about these things, just like the way we think about recycling our bottles and cans, or paper, cardboard, that there is still a financial side of that needs to come into play. And so even when we put our bottles and cans in the bin for us once a fortnight on the street, then it does cost money for people to collect that, to recycle that into something new, and then to be a saleable product back. But one thing that I will mention is that we are not selling data that is uploaded onto GeoNadir. We do not sell data. So in the subscription plans that you see, we're talking about access. And those are the things that keep us alive, to continue being able to build stuff that allows us to drive this circular economy. So with that, I actually just want to leave you with a quote from Sir David Attenborough, because he says that if working apart we're a force powerful enough to destabilize our planet, surely working together, we're powerful enough to save it. And so with that, this is fundamental to GeoNadir, and I hope it's something that really resonates with you as well. We do have some time for questions. If you've got stuff, please pop it in the chat, or if you want to unmute, as you like. We also are all over the place on socials. Would love a bit of a follow here and there. LinkedIn, Facey, YouTube, Twitter, Insta, and of course our email list as well. So if you're not already aware of those, please look us up. You'll see us there. Love it when people reshare our posts and all that sort of thing.
Karen, the first question was from Mark around the accuracy and precision of the data when you're in projects. For instance, looking at coastal erosion. Can you address that one, please?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I think that's a really good question. I think that's a lot of the time it's around the input data itself. So obviously anything that you digitize, if you're digitizing over raw data that's in the wrong space, the wrong location in the first place, then there's going to be trouble. Right now, we have an automated structure from motion procedure that processes through to the orthomosaics, the digital surface models, the digital terrain models, and they have accuracy and precision that's dependent quite a bit on the way the data was captured in the first place. So sometimes people will upload RTK data, other times it's just straight drone footage that may have a plus or minus 5 meters XY. So it's one of those really it depends answer. The way that we would like to be able to address that in the future is to enable people to incorporate GCPs to help to build that as well. So we know that the XY is not always great in some areas, some it's better than others. In the meantime, mostly the work that we're working on relative rather than absolute change as well. Does that answer your question?
Cool, thanks, Mark. Hey, Karen, one from Redbird. What happens to data that is private under a subscription when the subscription lapses or is cancelled?
Great question. Thank you so much, Redbird, and hello. So if you've set your data as private, your subscription's lapsed over the course of the year or the month, whatever, you'll still see that in your listing that you've got a private data set there. So you'll see that it exists, but it will be grayed out in your listing and basically say, if you want access to this, upgrade your subscription, and then you have it again.
And just to clarify there as well, is that data set remains private, so it would never go into the fair geo, and nor would it be deleted.
Thank you, Paul. Any other questions, observations? Is there anything that may have surprised you that I've shown today that you're like, oh, I didn't know that you could do that? Rhonda, is there a way of partnering with GeoNadir? Yeah, absolutely. We have lots of different partners. What organization are you from? Really happy to chat about that and what that might mean for you and how it works best with us. So we are fundamentally about collaboration. So really happy to partner with different organizations with similar values.
Might catch up with you guys offline and just see what that might look like. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Definitely, please do. Yeah, thank you. All right, so back to my question to the crowd. Is there anything today that I showed that you didn't know about, or that that you thought, oh, actually, wow, that might change things for me, or I could do it like this, or yeah. Any interest thoughts there? Mark, you like the idea of having access to data quickly. Yeah. I think that for me, landslides, so I worked on landslides quite a bit in New Zealand, and the biggest thing with the landslide stuff was making sure that you had the pre-imagery, because if you just have post-imagery, sometimes it's hard to tell, well, is that a landslide that occurred in this particular event, or is it just in the case where we were working with, there was lots of cow paddocks, is it just some eroded land as well? But having before and after imagery was super, super important. And that's something that I'm really excited about, the multi-temporal aspects that we'd really like to bring in. At the moment, we're thinking something similar to the way Google Earth Pro has a slider bar of changing dates, and then potentially some swipe stuff as well. But really keen to hear feedback from anyone that's interested, that if you've seen multi-temp drone stuff done really well and that you think that this would be great, please, yeah, love that feedback. Thank you, Tim, for the comment about the drawing tools. We're really proud of these ones. They're not perfect as well, right? So one of the challenges that we haven't yet addressed is being able to edit individual shapes. So if you do want to edit the shape, you kind of have to delete it and then redraw it. No, that's a problem, absolutely. And what we're trying to do is to think about our development plan as we've got all these different features that we want. Let's get each one a little bit higher as we go, rather than making one completely amazing but the others completely useless. So just sort of building some of these things up as we go. John, any case studies of users accessing GeoNadir for research? Yeah, I can actually shoot you through some papers that some of my students have used as well. I have a number of PhD and master's students, and it's always something that I try to do to get them to use it as well. So there's some published papers on blogs and that as well. I can definitely shoot those out. Oh, one thing I forgot to share, actually, in the drawing as well, when you're drawing your features either in the projects or just straight on any map, is you can change the order of things as well, which we haven't been able to do before. So if you need to make sure that certain things are on top of the other, good to go. Chris, being able to modify and delete images that you've uploaded, not yet. There's a bit of a technical challenge with that one for us, given the pipeline of processing that we haven't been able to nail, but it is absolutely very, very front of the mind that we need to have you to be able to manage your own stuff in that way as well. So yes, but in the meantime, if you've got stuff that you do want to delete, please just email us. We'll do it for you. It's really not a hassle for us to do. I realize it's not the easiest user experience for you, but if you can bear with us on that one, that would be great. What else, Paul, have I missed in that chat there?
Yeah, so Mark's using some of the data with one of his classes on your Belize data. Fantastic. Mark, would love to sort of see some results of that as you go through the class this semester. And Tim asking if we've got any GeoNadir swag. Hey, yeah, maybe what's the space? We have got some t-shirts around. So yeah, what's the space, Tim? We'll put it on Jack's list to have a think about. But
we do have a Redbubble site. Let me see if I can quickly find it.
Yeah, all right, cool.
Any other question that I can answer while I'm Googling for our Redbubble that we never use?
I think just the other one there with Chris's question, you want to just talk about the ability to modify and delete images in that upload process and being able to see what images are going to be pushed up before you push the send it to GeoNadir button, because you can sort of see it with the new upload process.
Yeah, so it's when you do that, when you go to upload, there's a button that says review photos, so that's an option there. And I just found the Redbubble site. We created it for some work that we were doing on sea cucumbers, so there's quite a bit of sea cucumber stuff there, but there's some general GeoNadir on that as well. So if you'd like to jump in, it's actually really well priced. And out of all the options of these types of online organizations doing print on demand, it was the one that I felt was most ethical and sustainable as well. So we did review a bunch of them. None of them are perfect, but this is one that we feel relatively good about. All right, so I think we're just about out of time. So maybe chance for one last call, one last question. If anybody has anything or comment, anything that you like, let me know. Is there a way to cite the data? Yes. So that is actually something that we're interested in working on as well, in terms of having an automated site export to EndNote or Zotero or something like that. So keen to know if anyone's interested in that, drop me a line. At the moment, I can shoot you through the way we've cited stuff in our papers. So maybe I'll get Jack to just prompt me on that one and make sure that we do that in a follow-up as well. Or sorry, to Mendeley as well. Yeah, whatever it is that you're interested in exporting your citations to. Yes, it's on the radar. It's not on the development plan yet, but the more pressure I get, it gets there, right? So if you want it, get friends to tell me that they want it as well, and yeah, things happen. Really flexible with the way that we do that. All right, any last words, Paul or Jack, from either of you as well, or Joan, since you're there? I don't know if you're Joan, you're actually there, or if you're just on phone. Anything at all?
No, I think we've covered everything.
That's okay, Mark. I know what you're talking about. All right, cool. Well, thank you so much, everyone. We have recorded this, so Jack will send around the recording if there's anything that you want to revisit at all. And like I said, at any stage, we have open inboxes. Please drop us a line or shoot through a message on socials, and tell your friends. Thanks so much for coming.